This time we come to the portion of the evening for public commentary and inquiry. If you want to discuss an issue with us, please come to the microphone, state your name and your address, please.
Charlene Anderson, 7 Emmett Avenue. I'm here for two concerns. The first is the gas station at the corner of Martin Luther King and Hanover Avenue. It's becoming a junkyard. It has 2 bays. I understand they apparently do conduct service work there, but there are too many vehicles constantly there, and it's a really shabby introduction to the township. My other concern is with the health department. In early June, I contacted Mr. Clay, from whom I never did get a response. I contacted Mr. Quinn, and Mr. Quinn was able to get a response from me from Kevin Green. I also own 15 Emmett Avenue. The property at 17 Emmett Avenue is owned by a non-resident. The gentleman happens to live in Mendham, and the property is a mess. I have written to Mr. Green, as I said, and he has responded once. He did have a notice of violation sent, and some things were adjusted, but I would say not corrected. Mr. Green has not responded to my July 14th email as of this date. I have, if you'd care to see, some examples of what's going on and the email correspondence that I've had going on with the health department.
Sure.
One of the things Mr. Green said that I did not appreciate was that in reference to there are groundhogs in the area we feel, my mom and I have, who lives at 15, feel are right there by their shed. It's a conglomeration of junk, which, as you would see, Mr. Green referred to them as household items. He also stated that when he or whoever he sent as a representative was there for inspections, that he saw no animals. And please, that's insulting. The groundhogs are going to come out and say hello. And that's really it. I'm just really tired of how that property is allowed to be kept. Yes, he pays his taxes, and so do I. I'm sure that he does not, as you see in my emails, I'm sure that he does not look out of his windows and see the mess that we have to look at. And it is only, by my observation, that one lot on Emmett Avenue that is so poorly kept.
Thank you. I'll speak with Mr. Quinn and Mr. Green, and we will get back to you this week.
Pardon, I couldn't hear. Someone says?
Yes, I said that, I said that I would speak with Mr. Quinn and Mr. Green, and we would get back to you this week with these concerns. But thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Hi, good evening. I'm George Quillen, 7 Bishop Court. I have questions on 2 subjects, and I think both of them are questions for Mr. Mills. First of all, I've been trying to understand better how the township's government structure is created, and in particular, the organization meetings at the beginning of the year. I've reviewed the minutes of the annual organization meetings going back to 2013, which are up on the township's website. The minutes say that standard procedures were observed in the election of the mayor and of the deputy mayor, but I don't know what that means, and I wonder if you could tell me what the standard procedures are.
It's not terribly complicated. It simply means that rather than having a mayor and deputy mayor elected by the voters, those offices are filled by a vote taken by this body once it's fully constituted. So in other words, once those persons elected to office are certified by Ms. Emilio as the electoral victors, if you will, then the committee, as part of its reorganization, elects its own mayor and deputy mayor.
Does that happen prior to the swearing in of the members? I was at the organizational meeting this year, and maybe I missed something, but I don't recall the vote taking place.
You would see frequently the same people sworn in several times, for example. So if someone is elected and they elected but not sworn, they sit in the audience, then we call those folks up to start the meeting, and then the election results are certified. They are then administered the oath. They'll sit here at that point, and then if they are one of the ones elected to another office, they'll take another oath, so you could see them twice, for example.
But when does the election for mayor take place?
That night.
That night.
They have a
There's a vote.
nomination process.
Prior to the...
No, at the meeting.
At the meeting,
Oh, I'm sorry. After the body is certified as being elected, that night, as the mayor indicated, the night of the reorganization, the mayor and deputy mayor are elected from among the five.
Remember.
There's a motion made and seconded. If there are no other nominations, then the vote is taken for the mayor, and the same thing is done for the deputy mayor. But there's a nomination from one of the five of us, and it's seconded, and whether or not there are any other nominations is conjectural, and then we vote on that. But it happens all the time, because the mayor then has to run the meeting.
Right.
Otherwise, Ms. Amelia will be very, very busy that night.
Okay. Are the vote tallies put into the minutes?
Yes, all that's put in the minutes.
Okay, so the votes of the individual members are shown in
Yes.
the minutes?
That's right, who made the motion, who nominated, who made the motion, and then the vote.
Okay, could you take a look at the 2017 minutes again? Because I think there are some omissions.
Whatever there is required by law to be there. I'll look at it.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to.
My second question is about affordable housing, and this is an enormous topic that I'm only beginning to learn a tiny bit about. But I see that in the agendas and the minutes of both this body and the planning board, every meeting there's a agenda item for a closed session on the declaratory judgment action or declaratory judgment request. I'm wondering how much of this is public information, for example.
Well, I mean, there's probably no harm, no foul, but I'm still reluctant to, until we finally get where we need to be. Briefly, as you probably know, the township filed proactively a suit along with a bunch of other municipalities seeking a declaratory judgment that our fair share plan and housing element were in compliance with the, I'll say, the COA rules and regulations, although we know COA was disbanded. The fair share housing entity has joined issue in that lawsuit, not just ours, but all the other municipalities all over the state of New Jersey who similarly filed, taking a position of its own, asserting what they believe to be the affordable housing obligation on a regional basis allocated amongst the various constituent municipalities in that region. Not surprisingly, their numbers and our numbers are different numbers. So in fact, today we had a mediation session where we made some progress, and I'm fairly comfortable that we will resolve these matters, but I don't think I'm at liberty to discuss numbers with you.
Is the request for declaratory judgment that was filed by the township, is that a public document?
Yes, yes. It's not going to be particularly enlightening. It's a complaint seeking just the relief that I indicated, but it's public, yes.
And does it ask for a declaratory judgment with respect to the 2008 plan that's up on the township's website? I think that's the most recent
Well,
thing that's there.
I don't think exactly that. We, in response to certain positions taken by our experts and the experts of Fair Share, we devised a newer housing element and fair share plan, which I think are part of the public venue, pursuant to which we propose to meet with it's acronym city out there, but an RDP, a realistic development potential of 352 affordable housing units. Since in the process of revisiting that in an upward mode.
Okay. That was it.
I wish I could be more, but I haven't discussed with the committee how much they feel that I should relate and put it to the public environment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Kathy Wilson, 20 Beechwood Drive. I'm a little disappointed that the representatives of the county aren't here. I had a question I was hoping that they could answer, but I'll pose the question here anyway. It has to do, I've heard conflicting information about the solar project that the county has undertaken. And I recall at the last meeting in July that Mr. Caffrey stated that the solar project was the primary cause of the increase in the county budget. And I went to the 4 o'clock meeting earlier today of the Morris County Improvement Authority, and I asked about that, and they said that was not the case. And then I tried to listen to what they were saying tonight, and I did not hear the solar project mentioned at all. I heard healthcare costs and pension costs and many other things which I didn't catch or have here. But I'm interested to know what the facts are. And I also heard the county talk about how the revaluation was a major cause of the tax increase at the county level. So I'm curious to know if you can add any, clarity to what the facts actually are.
I think it probably would be better going to the county and asking them.
Okay. Okay, so I'll do likewise with the, because I did see, somewhere I saw the PowerPoint that they had, and on that PowerPoint it said, the way I understood it, it said that the increase in the county budget was accounting for $18 per household for Morris Township taxpayers. Am I understanding that correctly?
Your tax bill, the average tax bill is going up $110 on the county portion.
Okay, well, so I guess I will have to check with them because that's not what their PowerPoint stated. It was concerning to me to characterize solar projects and renewable projects as failed projects that are costing taxpayers millions across the country. And I know there were a lot of problems with this county project, and it's regrettable. But if I had more time, I would have done my research and had some facts to share. I have not had time to do that, but it does concern me as a resident and as someone who's supportive of renewable energy projects to hear that kind of characterization, because based on the facts that I have and that I've been hearing, especially things that are going on recently, it's my impression that that statement is not accurate. So, thank you.
You wouldn't need to go to the gym tomorrow morning, Mr. O'Reilly.
Probably that'll cost a fee. That's good. I have to give my name and address again. It's Jim O'Reilly, 150 Independence Way. I suppose our resolutions, the reserve resolutions, 186, 187, 188, 17, are they simply numbers that were allocated for resolutions that have been held back and not to be acted on? Is that what happened?
They're just in reserve right now, Mr. O'Reilly.
They're just numbers that have been held
That's it.
and the resolutions were never developed, contemplated. Now, we are currently operating under a calendar year budget for 2017.
Correct.
Has the process started for the 2018 budget yet?
Yes.
what, in general terms, what has happened and what's going to be happening in the next few months?
As I do with our finance committee of Committeeman Mancuso and Deputy Mayor Johnson, each month we review the CMFO's reports of all of our finances, where the money's being spent, what's coming in, our revenue, expenditures, and we're looking at that. We take that information and we start making projections for 2018. And that continues on month after month throughout the whole year. And we've started now, the next portion will be going out with our, meeting with all of our department heads, and they will also then be, based on zero-based budgeting, start doing their operating expenses and their capital projects, and getting those into us probably by mid-November at the latest, so we can start reviewing that on a day-to-day. But right now, just looking at what our expected revenues are going to be for next year, what our projects are going to be, and then where we are in operating, where we can save, debt service, those kinds of things. So it's an ongoing project.
By November or December, you've formed a good idea of what the estimated budget for the next year will be, right?
More so after the first of the year.
I was wondering, we always go through a budget process in March or April,
Correct.
and I understand that's because it's only then you know what the state and county are doing.
That is correct.
But there must be a general formulated proposal available by the end of the year or so.
Yeah, so as I said, just said, it's ongoing every single month with the
Yeah.
finance committee and myself looking at that, and then we start working in earnest, meeting with all of our department heads, with the other committee people, and where we need to increase budgets, where we need to decrease budgets, what's coming in. So it's,
Would it be possible to have a budget presentation toward the end of the year on a
no,
provisional
No.
basis?
Impossible.
no.
No idea.
Because we always get
Because
to about March or
it-
April when you're trying to, when
Because
you've firmed up the numbers.
If I give out numbers now and then I have to change them, you're gonna come and say, why are you taking money here, why are you taking money there? It's
Impossible.
it's impossible. I'm not gonna put out numbers that are not gonna be, until they're validated and that the numbers are, realistic, and also looking at what is the potential impact, most importantly, what is the potential impact on our residents and a tax increase. So I don't want to put out numbers there and it's gonna
I understand that, yeah.
huge increase.
In the first part of the year, you are actually operating on some kind of budget, aren't you? Whether it's final or not, you're operating on it.
As we've discussed, it's a temporary budget,
Yeah,
and it gets adopted at the reorganization meeting as 26.7% of the prior year's budget.
but there couldn't be a presentation of the,
We're not ready to go yet, because what happens if the state comes back
I understand.
and they
you're
dropped
waiting
it,
for
they
final
stopped the
figures.
state aid by $1 million?
Right, from the
And I have to
state
take
account.
every single budget and find that $1 million.
Mhm.
And that's a real possibility for next year.
Right, so that you're operating basically on the certain percentage of the budget formulated for the prior year. That's your temporary.
For the first
budget.
quarter of 2018,
The
that's right.
27%, I think. Now, affordable housing. We have affordable ownership housing, right? In other words, the people buy the units they live in.
Yes,
I saw on the website there were several sites listed.
correct.
Now, are those, it seemed to me those were buildings that were built for affordable housing.
Correct.
They were like about 4 different areas, right?
About 8 different areas.
Okay, 8 different areas. And so there's no buildings scattered around the township that have been acquired and let out for, only buildings that are built for and dedicated to affordable housing, or in the affordable housing program.
I don't understand your question.
Well, there could be a plan, I'm not saying there is, but one could envisage that there could be houses that were acquired by the township and that are not part of larger units and that are let out.
We're not in the real estate business. We don't
Right,
acquire
okay.
houses.
So it's only these dedicated buildings. Now, so the people own those housing and their income could improve, right?
That is correct.
Now, they still own the units, they're not gonna be thrown out, that would be
That is correct.
unfair. So is there a limitation on the sale price that they can get if they sell it, so that it will be
Yes.
maintained as affordable housing?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. And Is there provision for rental housing under affordable housing program?
Yes.
Oh, how does that work? That's not part of those units that you have?
No, we have rentals right now up at Morris Muse, the senior housing. Those are all rental units.
For seniors?
And then we also have some rentals that are handled by the Morris County Housing Authority and Homeless Solutions.
Are those dedicated buildings, or are they buildings acquired all over the place?
Those are buildings that were either built by Morris County Housing Authority or renovated by Morris County Housing Authority and Homeless Solutions.
So they handle the rental housing?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.